Hey, how's everybody doing out there? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're having a great week. Summer started here in West Texas, so it's getting hot already. Wanted to take a minute here and show you a video regarding tankless water heaters. Check it out. Okay, here we're in a new construction home. I've been inspecting a lot of new construction these days. So this is a Rinnai brand tankless water heater. So what's the difference between a tankless water heater and a regular water heater? Well, if you've seen a regular water heater, you can see the most common obvious difference is there's no tank. So this is not a tank. This just basically heats the water. The water flows through here. There's lots of plumbing connections and piping inside this cover. So the way these work is a lot of folks will call these instant water heaters. That's not true. They're not instant. These are tankless. So the purpose of this is to provide hot water pretty much all the time. As long as this bad boy is running, as long as this gas is flowing, the pilot light's lighting, the burners are burning, you're gonna have hot water. So you don't have to worry about necessarily running out of hot water like you might in a water heater that's got a tank. This will provide continuous hot water supply. Though if you run hot water long enough in a home, as an inspector, you'll see that eventually that hot water will reduce and sometimes even run out because this thing just can't keep up in most cases. So some important information you can see here on the bottom. You see the blue, you see the red, those are your hot and cold water connections. You see this little valve right here, that's your temperature pressure relief valve. All those things you would see on a traditional water heater. Of course, the yellow line is the gas supply line. Those are all things you'd see on a traditional water heater with a tank, so that's not really that much different. You don't see a drain pan under this bad boy. They're not required, though it's probably a good idea, especially if you have one of these installed inside an older home. Nowadays they'll place these in the garage like this one, so there's really not a whole lot of potential damage necessarily. But if you have it in maybe a little bit older home where they're in a closet, it might be a good idea to have a drain pan under there because these can leak just like anything else. In fact, I just inspected one last week that had lots of rust damage down here on the bottom where it had already begun to leak in several places. So some considerations with these, obviously you can get an electric tankless water heater. They're just tough to provide that much electricity. These require a ton of power. So usually you're looking at lots and lots of amps just to operate a electric tankless water heater. So that's something to consider if you're retrofitting, maybe your home currently has an electric tank water heater. That's something to consider. It's going to require a ton of power to replace that with a tankless version of the same thing. But if you have gas, that's a great option. Some things to consider, each one of these will have ratings just like any other appliance or component in your home. So you can see there, this one provides a maximum of 160,000 BTUs an hour. There's lots of different ratings, lots of different sizes for these tankless water heaters, just like there is for a tank water heater. So consider that when you're purchasing these. Obviously the higher rating, generally speaking, you can expect to have more hot water more of the time. But these also have ratings on gallons per minute ratings and gallons per hour ratings in some cases. So consider that as well. Generally speaking, these are fairly new still. I know they've been around for a couple of decades, but compared to tank water heaters, these are fairly new still. This is a fairly new idea. But the US government, the Department of Energy, says these can last a whole lot longer than a traditional water heater. And if your home or your family uses less than 40 gallons of hot water a day, which my family that would not apply, but maybe your family that would apply, these can save you up to 20 to 30% per year on energy savings. So you may be talking about $100 or more a year. These could potentially save you by having a tankless water heater. I don't personally have a tankless water heater in my home. Both of my water heaters are electric, so that just would not be feasible for my home. But for your home, it might be. So something to consider. Hope you learned something. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions or comments, of course, please post them. Make sure you're subscribing. Thanks for your time.